Well, you have to be really strong in the Lord to handle some days. Now, this morning I woke up. My wife is down here in tears, weeping, crying out to God. And I come down and I heard her crying out to God. We didn't pay the full rent. That's a real huge pressure. I spoke with my landlord, and he was very generous and very kind in saying it's okay and he'll wait for the rest of the rent. But that is another pressure on my wife, which I don't like. Right now I have no income. I'm not here to bellyache or here to sob or any of that. I just want to explain my situation here. So yeah, so I consoled my wife and I told her things are coming. I also phoned the guy that I'm hired from, Unified Systems Group. It's an alarm company I told you about. And he said the offer has to go through and there's a process. So right now it's formality. They sent the offer actually to Montreal, the head office, and they got to send it back. And then it is given to me, and then I sign the offer, and then I get started. So it's a matter of a process in the next couple of weeks here before I get started on my new job. But in the meantime and in between time is the tough pressure part. Money is gone. I have no income. We couldn't pay the full rent. Different things. It just built up on my wife where she was just pressured like just. So I hugged my wife and I told her everything's going to be great. You know that God is bringing us through it. He has always brought us through it. We've been married 18 years. We've gone through them roller coasters of up and down things. But it builds. It should build strength and trust and faith in the Lord. And this is my main deal, to console her that way, is just to let her know that God is in control. We're not in control. When God takes away the control, and you see that you have no control, that is the best place to go to, and that's the best place to come to. Then your realization of the truth will come clear as day, that God is in absolute control. Okay, I have my address here, and I wanted to show it on the camera here, so you can write it down. And this is for the sake of contributing, or contributing to the work I do here. Has nothing to do with my home situation or family situation, none of that. I appreciate any contributions, and they're used to further the Lord's work. Whether it's for that or for this, it is helping in any situation right now. So, I told you about the PayPal button that's on my YouTube channel. You can click there, donate, or you can go and mail it through the mail. So there's my address. I'll hold it here for a little bit. You can pause the video if you like, if you want to write it down. If you don't want to use PayPal, this is another avenue of contributing to the work that is done here. So it's 41 Kingsbridge Place, Southeast, Airdrie, Alberta, T4A0S as in Sam 4. And also there's my phone number. You can get in touch with me and talk to me on the phone, and we can have fellowship. So there you go. That's the whole deal right there. So write it down on a piece of paper if you'd like to write to me, or just send me a letter, or just send me some questions on my shows. You can give me ideas for my shows as well. So there you go. Okay, today I'm going to read an article that I found, and I'm going to show you something. Two, I found all these articles yesterday, like it's a ton of them. All written articles that I had printed off. And I have a lot more, but I went through and sifted through them just to find the good ones that I wanted to share on these shows. So in the next while, I'll be going through all these articles that I have here on my shows to give you guys some real truth. Okay, I found this one, and I don't know who wrote it, but I'm going to read this one today. Okay, a full and happy life is the desire of all. And although ideas vary as to what should constitute such a life, yet in the deeper moments of the mind, there are aspirations towards some unattained and undefined excellence. This ardent longing for the ideal is displayed in the eloquence of the world's thinkers. In message and manifesto, it forms the burden of their programs, and is at once a testimony to the greatness of an awaiting glory, and a proof of estrangement from God. It is a part of creation's groan and travail, and the sense of bondage does but deepen the desire for liberty. Life is brief, and everywhere is marked by incompleteness. It is not enough to point to the visionary blessings of posterity as compensation for the present suffering and sacrifice. What of the lives laid down, which were pulsating with promise of distinguished maturity? Exactly, distinguished maturity in the world. Grief may be assuaged by sympathy and by thought of others, but where shall hope envisage its golden fulfillment? Since no human counsel can ensure perfection, desire must nestle in the divine ultimate. Gladly, then, do we turn from the disquietude of human enterprise to the tranquility of divine purpose, from the passing fret and splendor of man to the abiding calm and glory of God. For in the purpose and providence of God will the ideal be truly realized. That ideal, which alone stands for contentment and happiness, peace. To that realm Messiah paves the way, and hearts are swayed by the myriad perfections of his wondrous grace, till the throbbing universe finds its center and circumference in God. When men so fair a picture is but a dream, it is too good to be true, they say, yet even their poets glimpse a ray of its effulgence. Tennyson thus voices the longing of many ardent souls. Ah, when shall all men's good be each man's rule and universal peace? Lie like a shaft, a light across the land, and like a lane of beams athwart the sea, through all the circles of the golden year. Give me a second, I'm going to turn the page. The purpose of God holds the when and the how of all human longing, and even now inspires and thrills the believers' minds. Would that his lofty goal were more widely known, for the vision is so splendidly worthy of him who gave it. But the divine ultimate is little known and rarely proclaimed. That there is a purpose of the ages, with a fitting climax, is not fully appreciated by preachers and teachers. Many of them fail to see that the glory of God is clouded by their doctrine of endless woe, that the Son of his love fails thereby to draw all men to himself. Admitting the universality of sin, they limit the sphere of salvation, marring its grandeur by giving the last word to man. Finality is with God. He gave his best in Christ, and through him will realize his best. How God will accomplish his purpose in Christ, the ages will attest. But when the pile completeness shows, no void will mar his work. For not alone the favored few, but the ransomed all, the fair circumference of his wide creation, will acclaim his high success and glorious triumph. There is then no residue of sin and suffering, no aftermath of sorrow. The finale of the ages has come, and with it the eclipse of evil, permanent and sure. For the Sun of Righteousness has shed his beams to the ends of the universe, and all are bathed in its glory. The glory of God, do we revel as we should in the coming glory? Stage upon stage is divinely ordered sequence. The transformation will take place until the whole creation is transfused by its crowning splendor. And in the light of such an issue of grace, we perceive another note in the heart music of the psalmist. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. This is good for me today. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. This is good for my wife today. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Flower, sun, and star glorify God, because they are what God meant them to be. And shall not all the intelligences of creation glorify him by eventually being all that he meant them to be, in the realization of his will and purpose? Grace is not exhausted by its bestowment in the immediate. There is an ultimate when it is merged with glory. Oh that in the past this effulgence of grace had been seen. The centuries would not then have evolved such pictures of misery and despair as Dante and Doré portrayed. And even in latter days, imagination has run riot in depicting scenes of endless torment. The dramatic eloquence of so-called divines is terrible to contemplate. We turn from such pictures of woe to the glowing presentations of the glory of God, which come to our hearts from the divinely empowered pen of the Apostle Paul. For he indeed is the herald of God's glory, and when judgment shall have achieved its strange yet beneficent work, the prelude of love and grace shall give place to the full harmony of divine glory. In view of such an ultimate, we may indeed rejoice in the Lord. The gladness of our hope or expectation is derived from the glory of God. And though the realization of his radiance is far off, its sureness is embedded in the scriptures of truth. In the verity of divine statement, faith calls the flower of hope, or expectation, the expectation of absolute perfection for the creation of God. The luster of divine glory beautified the dawn of creation. It has illuminated all its interludes, and in a far-flung splendor shall adorn its final stage. Then indeed may voices as of many waters exclaim, with thee is the fountain of life. In thy light shall we see light. And so a happy creation shall throb with praise, exultant in his perfect will and perfect way. Thought this article was great. In that way, to rejoice in the Lord and be always together with the Lord is our expectation. So we can rejoice in the Lord now. Through every pain and suffering and affliction, rejoice in the Lord. I wish my wife would believe this. I really do. As you can see, I'm kind of pressured today. My reading wasn't the greatest, but I hope the message got through. But that's okay. Being in this human physical frame sometimes drives you crazy. I love you all. Have a great day in the Lord.